Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Good to be here.
So today, we're digging into some fresh info from Baykar, specifically on the Turkish Kızılelma unmanned fighter. We know the third prototype is flying.
That's right.
But what's next? Baykar's hinted at some new capabilities. Our mission really is to figure out what these mean for the aircraft's future.
Exactly. It feels like we're moving beyond just tweaking things. These look like potentially bigger steps.
Okay, so where do we start? How about self-protection?
Good place. They've mentioned a chaff and flare dispenser project.
Right. Chaff and flares seems almost old school for such an advanced drone, doesn't it? Why the focus?
Well, stealth isn't invisibility, especially as sensors get better and better. So you still need ways to actively fool incoming missiles. Chaff messes with radar-guided ones.
And flares deal with the heat seekers, the infrared ones?
Precisely. For an unmanned fighter that might actually mix it up in air-to-air combat, even with stealth, you absolutely need that layered defense. It tells you they're serious about survivability in contested airspace.
Okay, that makes sense. And haven't people noticed some, unusual openings or apertures on the newer prototypes, the third and fourth ones?
Yes, exactly. Good point. There's speculation those could be things like missile warning sensors or maybe systems for general situational awareness.
So they feed data into the defense system, like missile incoming, deploy flares.
That's the logical connection, yeah. You need to know when to use your countermeasures. It's about building that complete picture around the aircraft.
Got it. So it's not just about hiding, it's about actively fighting back if detected. Okay. What else? Range seems to be a topic.
Right. Baykar mentioned R&D into an air-to-air refueling system.
Now, they didn't explicitly say this is for Kızılelma, did they?
No, not directly linked in the announcement. But,
right.
Well, you look at Kızılelma, its fighter profile, its intended role maybe alongside manned jets.
And air-to-air refueling seems like a natural fit, almost essential, really.
Exactly. It's all about extending time on station, mission range, flexibility. If you want this thing to keep up with manned fighters or operate independently for long periods, refueling capability is, well, pretty much a must-have in modern air combat.
Yeah, standard kit these days.
It really hints that they want Kızılelma to have serious endurance.
And the fact they're looking at Turkish and potentially foreign subcontractors for this R&D, covering the whole process from literature studies to integration, what does that signal?
It signals a thorough approach. They're not just dabbling. It suggests maybe a plan for broad integration, possibly interoperability down the line, maybe even with allies. They're thinking big picture.
Interesting. Okay, last main point. Something maybe less flashy but practical.
Yeah.
The internal weapons bay lowering mechanism.
Yeah, sounds a bit mundane, maybe, but it's important.
What's the deal? Just making it easier to load bombs?
Pretty much. Think about ground crews trying to load munitions inside the fuselage. It can be awkward, slow.
Right, reaching up and in.
This mechanism would basically lower the weapons rack or the bay itself, making it much easier and faster for the loaders to attach the munitions.
So it's about ground efficiency, getting the aircraft armed and back in the air quicker?
Absolutely. Faster turnaround times between sorties.
It
might seem small, but in terms of operational tempo, that kind of practical design feature can make a real difference. Shows they're thinking about the whole life cycle, the real-world use.
Okay, so let's sort of wrap this up. We've got enhanced self-protection with chaff and flares, likely linked to new sensors.
Active defense.
The strong potential for much longer range via air-to-air refueling.
Extending its operational reach significantly.
And smarter ground operations with this weapon bay mechanism.
Making it easier to field effectively.
Taken together, this really does feel like Kızılelma is evolving, doesn't it? Moving towards being a more capable, maybe more autonomous, unmanned fighter.
Definitely. It paints a picture of a platform becoming more independent, more versatile, and more survivable for complex missions.
Which leaves us with a final thought for everyone listening. As these unmanned systems like Kızılelma get more and more sophisticated, adding capabilities we used to only associate with manned jets, how might that force us to rethink, the whole structure of air power? The balance between pilots and cockpits and operators on the ground.
Yeah, it's a fundamental shift potentially unfolding. Definitely something to keep watching.
Absolutely. Food for thought. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.